Action.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Having the Chats podcast. And today I have a psychic medium, Ellie.
Hi.
Ellie, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Thank you
I'm
for having me.
delighted to have you here. I've never had a psychic medium in here before, so I'm really excited. But my first question, so for anybody who doesn't know, what is a psychic medium?
Well, I guess the difference between a psychic and a medium is psychic is somebody who predicts the future. And there's different ways of being psychic. I mean, I can only say from my experience, but you can learn to be psychic through either a book or going to circles or classes, or, you know, there are places that teach people, encourage people to bring that out of them.
Wow.
Or you can learn yourself
Yeah.
through what I would call as your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have learned myself. You know, I didn't intend to be a psychic.
Right, so this
At
wasn't something
college,
you looked for.
No. I'd have been a photographer, a
Really?
journalist. Yeah, I would not have been a psychic, that's for sure. And then a medium, I think it to me is somebody who can tune in to people of past. You know, you can feel children can feel what's around us.
Yeah.
They say that give your child till they're about 7.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how they're going to be after 7, because that's a cut-off time. 7 seems to be when, you know, education really steps in and takes away a lot of the dreams and intuition.
Yeah.
If that
And
makes sense.
innocence.
And innocence.
And I have seen a lot of that. Actually, I remember when Nikita was a baby, and she said to me, the girl with the long hair, and I couldn't understand what she was talking about, and I was saying, what girl, what is she talking about? And Nikita was that small, she was still in her cot. But I had a cousin who passed years and years ago. You know, Nikita never would have known her because I was 9 when she passed,
Yeah.
and she had hair down to her bum, and the cot that Nikita was in belonged to my cousin. Yeah, it was passed down.
Hey, there's loads
And
of
I
stories
know
like
that that's the only girl, because Nikita had never, at that age, she had never seen anybody with hair that long, so she she wouldn't have known it existed, you know.
Do you know, Laura could write a book on stories that children have said to their family about people that have passed over.
Yeah.
There's a history full of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
which gives you a great faith, really, doesn't
Yeah,
it? But
absolutely.
there is a big difference between a psychic and a medium, and not everybody who's psychic is a medium.
Yeah.
You know, if you ask me what do I like, I prefer the psychic side.
Yeah.
But that's a bit like buy now, get later.
Yeah.
Because when you're sitting in front of someone reading them, how do they know that those things are going to work out till later on?
Exactly. Yeah.
But with mediumship, it's almost instant.
Yes.
Because you're giving validations and messages, and a lot of the things, the descriptions and information, possibly names, because names is a good thing to
Yeah.
get. Then you've got your validation straight away.
Yeah.
If I'm to say to someone, when are you going to meet this tall, dark stranger? He's not Irish. You'll meet him in 2 years' time, in the month of July.
Yeah.
You know? Anybody with a smart mouth can say that.
Yeah, of course. And that's another thing. Like, would you have you come across many skeptics that would, you know, they'd ask you for a reading, say, for example, and then kind of shoot you down and be like, no,
I don't find it that. I know there's a lot of skeptics, and I think men are much better at being skeptical
Mm-hmm.
than women.
Yeah.
And I would think possibly 97% of my readings are women, and
Yeah.
the rest is men. You know, and sometimes when a man's in front of me, I think, there's a woman pushing him to get in.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be here.
That's my thought. But skepticism, do you know something on that? I'm not here to sell it, because the age of me, I've had way too many experiences of where I've met so many thousands of people that I haven't got time to be selling it to people.
No.
If you want some help, if you want some guidance, sit in front of me.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee, but I will do my very best, and you decide whether that works for you.
Yeah.
But skepticism, there are people that sit in front of you. I mean, one of the lines I really hate is, right, you tell me.
Oh,
Do you know?
no. I'd be like, no, come on.
You know, and people can go to psychics too much.
Yeah.
You know, overgo on them. But sometimes I like skeptics sitting in front of me if they need a bit of help.
Yeah.
It's nice to unravel it
Yes.
Well, I could say to every single human can read.
Yeah.
You know, even the ones that don't think they can, you can show them how to. And all it is trusting your gut. I'll show you how I feel it works reading for me. I'll just give you a little example.
Right.
You may not get anything, so don't feel under the pressure.
Yeah.
If this doesn't work, I'd rather people say, no, don't get anything, don't pick anything up. I'm more comfortable with that and going, oh, I don't want to hurt her. It doesn't matter, it doesn't hurt me because I know it doesn't work for everyone.
Yeah.
Put your hands out like that, just like that now. What I feel is when I put my hands on top of someone, it's not the heat. We can all feel heat because that's a person's energy. But I think there's tingling. Sometimes there is tingling or a feeling of pressure. And that to me, what's between those hands there is energy, and that's what I'm reading.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can feel anything. Feel either a pressure.
A little bit of tingling when you said that.
Of course, and there is a sort of a pressure, and the heat is building up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, just do that.
That's so strange.
See, it is strange.
Oh my God.
Now you can do that. I have done it where you go down somebody's body with your hands, just feeling where parts of their body can hurt or have problems. Because that's, you're an energy, I'm an energy. So if you want a reading from me, how it would work is, I'd relax you by talking to you.
Yeah.
And then I would tune in while you're talking. Download your information, and I'll show you what your information is, and read it to you.
Right.
So your information for me is, I believe that your soul, I sit here and I think, I know nothing, absolutely know nothing, but I know how to read.
Yeah.
So your soul has the story of when you're going to die, all the things that are leading up to that, from your birth, before and after. It knows everything.
Yeah.
Because you're the human, you're the mind and the body.
Yeah.
But the soul is
I'm the
something else.
carrier of the soul.
You're the carrier. And all I'm doing is connecting, and then it gives me perhaps like little pictures or images that I how can I say, you know that little voice inside that nags us? It's not that. It's another type of voice. It's like telepathy but stronger. And I know the difference now. I know the difference between Heather's chit chat and when I'm getting some information for that person.
Yeah.
You know, but it comes from you. It doesn't come from me. Not at all. You know. So that's why you're not always on. I don't feel that you can always read because your light isn't on to read.
So you don't get, like, say, you're in queue and Tesco's, the personality, you're like, whoa, I don't like that energy, I'll have to move to the next queue.
You can feel the energy, but you can't feel the story.
Yeah.
I suppose there's a certain amount. I have occasionally sat, once or twice I have approached people with something, but generally I feel I'd regret it, but there's been times when I have gone, I've got to do this. I've seen them on telly. Where's that there's an American woman, she's very loud. She is good, everybody loves her. I can't think what she's got. I just think she's from New York. She goes up to people in barbers, in shops all over the place and starts, she does, telling them all sorts. That's great for her. I can't do that. I could never do that, but then I'm much more private as a person.
And a lot of people would be private like that as well and mightn't want to be approached.
You might not want to, no. But when you get something that blows you away, I think it can be quite life-changing.
Well, it's a gift that you have, and if and when you feel the need to approach someone, again, that's important as well, because if it's something that you feel they should know.
I hear you, but you see, you know when someone says a gift, I feel uncomfortable with that word.
Really?
I really sort of feel uncomfortable, because that is meaning a gift. Somebody is special, and we're all special. And I feel we've all got the ability. I don't see it as a gift. I don't think anyone has the gift. I think as people, as humans, we have an ability. It's just not everybody's tuned into it.
Yeah.
You know, what are the things that can tune you into it if you want to? But also trauma in your life.
Yeah.
When you've had trauma, whatever sort, trauma, pain is pain, trauma is trauma. I think you're a bit on high alert, and you can tune in to other people's emotions.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me that's a gift. That's a goddamn human ability.
Yes.
Through suffering and pain.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Or you cannot have had as much suffering and pain and learn to go and do this. But I wonder, are the people that have read it from a book
Yeah.
or sat in a class quite as accurate as the ones that have had to suffer to get it.
Yes, that's,
You know?
yeah,
I tune into your pain because I've had pain.
yeah,
I feel your pain, may be different, but I feel it, and then the story opens up.
wow, I love
Does that make sense? The
Yeah.
older you get, I think, because I think to myself, well, I'm less in front than I have behind, so I may as well just get on with it.
Yeah, and you do, like, when you get to kind of this age, you do question, I'm 42, so I know that I'm more than halfway through my life realistically, and that scares the crap out of you, but I also am, like, really sure that there is, and now I could be wrong, but I don't think that, like you say, we are just a carrier of our soul, our spirit, our being. And I don't for 1 minute think that once that body is put into the grave, that's the person gone. I firmly believe this day with you. And whether, like, people have laughed at me over the years, but I'm like saying, no, do you know what? Even if it's not true, it helps me.
Yeah.
I've buried 2 children, so it helps me to think that, no, they are still around. And I've had so many signs at home. Actually, Chris sees more of the signs than I do, but I know where it comes from, and I know it's my brother, do you know what I mean? But I just say to people, you know what, even if it's not true, it helps me. So
but it is true, because love is boundless. It never ends.
Absolutely. Yeah, I firmly believe that. Yeah. Wow. Oh my God. Do you think that there are psychics and mediums that are basically faking it? Because a lot of them are. I think there's so many, and I think for somebody who's lost somebody, or somebody who's having a testing time in their life and really just needs guidance, maybe. So it might necessarily be that they've lost somebody, but they might need guidance in their life at that time. And I think if they go to a psychic who is letting on to be a psychic, I think that can be really damaging. And so what do you think?
Well, I look at it and say, these are hard times, and people think they can earn an easy buck.
Yeah. And
you can cold read people. A lot of us do cold read people, can't we? We do it on our day-to-day life sort of thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to be psychic to know something or see something. Something can be relatable. But I think there are a lot of people that have done it for a long time, but they're tired. See, this sort of work, you generally find there's a lot of women that do it, men as well. But as you get older, it is tiring because you are carrying a lot of people's problems. They don't generally come to you if they're happy and everything's going bad. That doesn't mean it's all awful, but my God, there are some stories in humanity and life and what we see. And it does wear on you as the years pass.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there are people that are very good. I think there are people that are very tired. I went to one fairly recently because I went to see a show because I am going to be using the room that she's in, and I just thought, oh my God, you're tired, girl. You're really tired, and this is not valued for money.
I think I might know that girl if it's in the same place. Yeah.
Well,
and I know she's doing it a long time. So.
She is doing it a long time, and that doesn't mean that she isn't good on a one-to-one, but you see, when you do a show, it doesn't matter whether you can read people, because a show is entertainment, and to keep those people amused is very different from, and entertained is very different ability from reading someone and satisfying them. They're 2 different skills. Yeah. I think sadly there's a lot of people like you see online and there's no faces, they're just shuffling out these cards. I remember I heard this woman came to me and said that this reader had said to her, well love, it's curtains for your husband. I'm laughing, but it's not funny.
Really?
Yes, you don't want me to say it. I laugh because the way that's said, but it isn't funny. The things that have been said to people, I remember this is just something that happened. One of the saddest things that I saw once was a girl that was very young and she was dying, leaving children behind. And she came to her where I used to live. And what happened is a mum came to me first. She came into the room and she said, my daughter's outside, she wants to see you. You know, she's come to you because she's been to a couple of others that have said everything's rosy in the garden. And she doesn't want that. She wants it plain talking, as it is. And she wants to speak to you. So she comes in. When her mum went out to the car to get her, I'm in the kitchen going round, and I truly did, I can't do this. I've never read for a young woman, and this is not something I could do. No. Just like anxiety coming over me. But what I felt was something very strong. And I think it came into me instead of came out of me. It was like hearing a voice that said, shut up, sit down, this is about her, not you. Yeah. And that's what I did.
So you have had to give bad news, like.
It wasn't actually, she was amazing. She'd accepted, she's about in her early 30s.
Wow.
She'd accepted she was dying. It wasn't bad news. We weren't talking about that. She wanted to know about her children, and we talked about leaving things for them to remember her. She wanted to know, she was more worried, and I couldn't imagine this, she was more worried about the people she was leaving behind, her friends. But it was because of the inevitability of she was so close to it.
Yeah.
And the lack of selfishness and thought, you know, for others, is just astounding. I thought it was like, this is a privilege to be in front of somebody like this, because it's not what I expected. But it was calm, and we were able to talk about, it was how she died, that she'd slip away. And that's what I felt and said to her, because she asked. If you said to me, did you have 100% faith that that would how it be? No, it didn't. But that's what I felt.
Yeah.
And fortunately, that's how it did happen.
Thank God.
You know, we don't all get it right. You cannot say as a psychic and a medium that we're always right. Hell no.
No,
you know,
she obviously needed to hear that, and
she needed about her children.
And you know what? Because she was there basically about her children, it was probably a question that she needed to ask, as in, should they be there? You know, that would, if it was me in that situation, that's probably why that question was asked. Like, how would it be when she passed and all the rest of it? Because they are questions that, if you could see into the future. Like, I mean, if it was me, I would say to Chris, if I'm very bad, I don't want the kids to see that. You know what I mean? Or if it got terrible, I don't want to see it. But if I was going to just slip away peacefully, I would want to have my kids right beside me till the end. You know,
right.
However, I wouldn't want to upset them if it went a different way.
Now, there would be some people that could be watching this and would say, the girl that was dying shouldn't be going to a psychic. She should be having like palliative care. And I'm sure she was. And I can understand that. Of course I can understand that. Because I've got 2 daughters. God forbid any situation for anyone I cared about, anyone in front of someone that could give like just, you know, stupid news. You have to have the empathy and the common sense to talk with people like this. So I would understand someone saying, what was a girl in that position? Why did her family put her in front of a psychic? Well, perhaps they put her just in front of me. It's not, you know, and there's other people
and
like
she
that.
Wasn't just a girl, she was a mammy and she was a daughter.
She was.
Yeah.
She was, and so am I.
And she needed her answers, and
she
got them.
She got them.
Yeah.
She got them.
Wow. It must be very hard. Like, it must be mentally draining for you when you do one kind of that serious, you know. I know people will come to you and say, am I going to travel to Australia in 2 years' time? Am I going to meet the man of my dreams? Am I going to change jobs? You know, they're all kind of positive things that you can, you know.
Yeah, they're everyday questions.
They're everyday questions.
And they're important ones.
Yeah, they are important ones, but like that, I mean, somebody on their deathbed or with a serious issue going on in their life, like, they, if you've kind of exhausted every avenue, why not? You know, I firmly believe in everything that psychics and mediums do, and I do think that it's definitely needed, because you have so many people that would be in, say, going through a hard time in their life and they don't see a way out of it and might commit suicide. Suicide or trying to not necessarily illegal drugs, but you know, you just might be struggling. But where going to somebody like yourself or any other psychic medium, providing they're good, can give them that little bit of guidance, or like it just show them a light at the end of that tunnel, or what I would call the shitty road, would show them that, now hold on a minute, if you concentrate on this, you will eventually get to this, you know.
Guidance.
Guidance. Yeah,
Well,
so
I
you
would
just
say
need
to
that.
you, the thing is to be careful, because what I've noticed, looking around, people can put psychics or mediums, look up to them like gods, and give them a bit of, well, not a bit of, I'm saying it in an English way, aren't I? Egos, too much ego. And the bottom line is, in life, I don't think we should be looking up at anyone.
No.
Or looking down at anyone.
No.
We should be looking at people.
Exactly.
And there's some folk that can't help, the more that you praise them, the more their ego gets. I don't know if it's always big-headed, but I've seen a lot of that, unfortunately, in spirituality.
Yeah.
You know, people have crossed paths where it's just, wow, it's all about you. I remember one saying to me, you know, if somebody came for a reading that had been to this particular reader, and he said, "You've taken my client." What? Excuse me. This is we go to whoever we want. It's promiscuous. Everybody goes to everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody owns anyone. What's that about? You don't own. Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You would be surprised.
I'd say you get that.
And I can see how that comes about when they're put up there as, they're like, some of them are worshipped.
Yeah, well, do you know, some of them are worshipped, but there's also some, I can't tell you how many message requests in Instagram, they go into message requests if I'm not following them or they're not following me, I'm not sure which it is, but in message requests I've gotten so many messages from people claiming to be psychics or mediums or both, and they would say to me, I have been drawn to your page, and it's a generic message. Yeah. It's sent to everybody, you know, your name wouldn't be on it or anything like that, but it contact us $50 a reading. So I know for $50, that's someone in America that hasn't even looked at my page, you know, nothing about me, you know, and there is a lot of that, so you do have to do your research, don't you?
It's word of mouth. At the end of the day, you know, people come to you because they've heard other people talk.
And you were highly recommended to me.
That's the way to get around.
Yeah. And the girl that recommended you to me, she says herself, she says, I would be skeptical and I don't vouch for anybody, she says, but I vouch for one.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's lovely. Do you know, you can take that and then you have to let it go.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that I have discovered in these years, you've got to have a good filter.
Yeah.
When you finished your reading, you've got to let it go.
Yeah.
If someone praises you, thank you very much. But you know, there'll be somebody that behind that goes, see, do you know what she's like? Do you know what she said to me?
You're gonna get naysayers and everything.
But do you know what? Some of it is your own choice.
Yeah.
Do you know, it really can be. I expect people to go out the door more times than not and go, so yeah, okay, nice woman, liked her, but I can't see that happening.
Yeah.
And then down the line, it happens.
A lot of things happen in your life that you never saw coming. Yeah. Really. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. What do you think of the price of some people, some psychics are charging?
Do you know the prices, Xavier?
No, I haven't, and I dread to think.
Okay, so, well, let's see. When you're looking at the ones on telly, you're looking at hundreds for a reading, you know, really hundreds. But if you're looking for a lot around town and going out into the country, a lot of it is between 80 and 100. And I could say 100 euros, 50 deposit, non-refundable. I know plenty that are charging that now. What do you get for that? I would say line all the psychics up and see if you can see any difference between, you know, generally ones that are busy, that are good, and see the ones that are charging 100 and the ones that are charging a lot less, you know? Yeah. I sometimes struggle, we struggle with money, we struggle, we say, we're taking money, if it's a gift, if it's this and that and the other, shouldn't you be doing it for, well, not a gift, but you know what I mean, shouldn't you be doing it for free? Well, we've got bills to pay.
Exactly.
So I've thought about what is the right price, and for me, 40, 45, you know, seems seems a fair enough price. Half an hour, 45 minutes, because after 45 minutes you're repeating the same thing a different way.
Yeah.
Generally, not always, but generally you're saying the same thing a different way.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. That's just wasting up time, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you've done reading for years, you can set yourself a time frame which is healthy for you.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's somebody else later. And why should the first person that you have in the day, the last person, should be just as good reading and have your energy as the first person in your day? So you have to monitor yourself.
Yeah.
So adding it all up, I think, to me, I think anywhere between 40 and 50 euros is a fair price. Once you get past that, personally, I think it's great. Now, my feeling is I've looked at some of these sites, you know, and they talk about readers, and now everything's expensive nowadays. Well, who's the fool? The person who asked for it, or the person who pays it?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, 100%. I agree. That's a very fair price. It's very, very fair price.
Fair is important, and if you can't read someone, there are people that are sat in front, and I don't always know why.
They're right through it.
Yeah, there are people that you can't read. You know, whether it's an
Do you think people close themselves off?
I would say it's easy to excuse that and say, I'm sorry, you're closed off, can't read you. No, I think there's a timing thing. I think there's things that go on in their life. I think sometimes that energy between you and them doesn't connect. There's a whole load of reasons, not just one.
Have you ever gone to do a reading for somebody and thought, this person's actually not ready for this?
I've never felt they're not ready. I felt that, no, I haven't felt they're not ready. I think an age thing is when I'd say they're not ready.
Yeah.
Too young, too vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know, or the person in front of me is way too vulnerable. But generally, no, I think you have to admit, you have to say, sorry, I can't read you. It's better to be straight and not take anything.
It is.
Not take anything.
Yeah.
You know, just accept that and hope that they understand that. There was one lady in the early days, I've been doing this, I've lived in Ireland since I was about 30, so 60, so, you know, good 30 years. So I remember saying to her, there was a woman, I could not read, couldn't see anything. I think she came to me twice, and I really couldn't. Not long after, there was a terrible accident, and her child died. And I did go to the wake, and I know she said something to me. I can't remember what she said now, so many years ago. And I did think, why did I not see that? And I wondered, I wouldn't say I know, I wondered if that was part of it. There was another.
Maybe so.
There was another one, it was this beautiful girl, and she was going off travelling somewhere, and she was in a really happy relationship, and I said, they'll always be together, and just something happened, and they both died, you know, and not the way I saw it, not the way I saw that at all.
Well, you were right though.
No, it's not about right, no, I can't accept that. But you know, it's an education for a reader.
Yes.
It's definitely an education.
Things like that must really knock you for six.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. But I also think, you know, there's something up there that goes, you know, watch yourself. You know, don't run away with yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you think you're too good at it, or don't hold on to that empathy for others.
Yeah.
I mean, you can sit in front of people. And you can feel, I wouldn't be in your company out here because there's something about you that, apart from this, I couldn't be with.
Yeah.
I couldn't be around. But you have to get past that
Yeah.
and over that, because we don't want to be with everyone that passes us, do we?
No, we don't. And Nikita, my oldest, when she was 3, I was pregnant, and just maybe 2 weeks before I had Ailish, I was in Nikita's granny's house. We were down in Wexford, and she had a friend of hers down from Dublin, because they were originally from Dublin. So a friend of hers came down from Dublin, and she had done, I think, a FOS course in psychic readings and things like that. And she didn't do a reading for me now, but I was in her company for maybe 3 days in a row, because we lived 2 doors away. No, we didn't live in there at the time, but we were down there for the weekend. And I went into labour and I was attending the rotunda up here, but because we were in Corktown, my waters broke down there, so we went straight to Wexford General. Now, when I got into Wexford General, they strapped me up with the, to check the heart and all that, and their little heart rate was on you could see her little heart beating on the monitor, right? And it started to slow down, and I was full term. And the doctors, the nurses were all looking at each other, and they were running for doctors. So they came in with the doctors, and within 2 minutes I was stripped and shaved and ready for a section, because her little heart rate was slowing down, and with that stopped. And they said to me, look, she's gone, but we can section you now, because you're ready for section, but you'd be in here for 5 days with no baby, or you can just have her naturally and you'll be able to go home. And I said, well, I'll stay and I'll have her naturally, because Nikita was only 3 and she knew I was going into hospital to have a baby, and I was like, I need to get home to her. I can't be in here for 5 days and go home with no baby. How do I explain this to this child? And so I did that. I had Ailish. I think she passed at 5:10 in the morning, and 5:10 in the morning. I had her just after 2 in the day, and they left her with me. They were brilliant down there. They left her with me till 10 o'clock that night, and then I went home. But that woman, she had already gone back to Dublin, and say 2 weeks later, after the funeral and everything, she was back down, and she said to me, do you know what, I knew that was going to happen. And I was like, why didn't she tell me? If she knew, now I don't believe for 1 minute that she knew, but I was thinking to myself, if she knew that was going to happen, would she not have let me know to go to the hospital, would she not have let me know that there was something wrong? Now, I haven't seen that woman now in 20 years, and I would have no bad feeling or anything towards her, but I think the fact that she didn't say anything to me at the time, I don't think she should have told me that she knew that was going to happen, because that's lived with me since.
Yes.
And I have blamed myself then, because I was like, well, if she knew, why didn't I know? Why maybe I missed that kicking had stopped or something like that, which I know is not true, but always that has been in the back of my head, so you do, I think you have to be really careful who you go to, and
what comes out your mouth it's a big responsibility.
That's annoyed me for 20 years.
I've heard plenty of things like that, and I might have annoyed someone myself and not knowing. The thing to think about is sometimes it's better not to say anything, because you know that you could be wrong. You don't know you're 100% right.
Exactly.
So you haven't got a right to say that.
I know that even if, say, she could have been brilliant and she could have saw that this was going to happen, but I think she should have left it at that. I don't think she should came to me 3 weeks after Ailish died and said, I saw that, I knew that was going to happen, because, what?
That's a beautiful name, Ailish. Ailish and Paula are one of my favourite names, my Irish names. Ailish.
I do love it, I love it. What do you say to people that are skeptics and think that that psychics and especially mediums would prey on vulnerability? Because there would be a lot of it.
There is a lot of vulnerability.
Especially the ones, like you say, that are charging maybe a little bit more, and I think some people would think that, okay, well, this medium, like Ellie is doing it for 40 to 50 euro, but this one is 120 euro, so I think I'll go with this one for 120 euro.
That's the mentality here.
That is, it's like,
it must be better, you're getting more.
Exactly.
Paying more.
Yeah.
My personal experiences, you're going to get the same. There's only so much that can be said. When you watch the ones on telly, a lot of that is filtered and played around with anyway. So there's all over much, really. I remember I went to this woman, and what did she say to me? She said, you're going to be on a beach somewhere. Oh, and I'll tell you something else that came up, somebody said, right? She said, you're going to be on a beach somewhere, and see, I've never known my father, and you're going to be lying there watching a father show his son something, and you're going to look, why am I watching that? And all of a sudden, she said, you're going to feel your father with you. Well, right, okay, whatever,
Yeah.
is what I felt. 6 months later, I would have been in Turkey, and I'm lying in a hammock on a beach on my own there, and it was a festival day, and it was this man polishing shoes against a tree, just polishing, and this father and son came up. I found out later that it was a festival day. I didn't know at the time, and so the son kissed the man who was polishing his shoe's hand, and the father said, no, showed him how to do it. So I'm sitting there looking at, why am I watching this? Massive big wave came
Wow.
boom, brought me right, and it was a good 6 months difference.
Yeah.
Bang, it just hit, you know. And about 2 weeks ago, I'm doing this market on the borders, which is whereabouts I live, and I'm reading for this really high energy level lady. She was so funny, lovely lady.
Yeah.
And I'd say she was spiritual. And when we finished the reading, she said, "Thank you so much," and gave me a hug. And this doesn't usually happen. She says, "And I've got some good news for you." She said, "In 5 weeks," she said, "around 5 weeks," she said, "you're going to have a life-changing event." And she said, life is going to turn around so much, it's so different. Well, I only had the confirmation about 2 days ago that I will be moving to Dublin, and it is a big, massive change.
Wow.
The whole circumstances of my life is changing because of
So
this.
was she psychic as well?
No, she is just intuitive and a healer. See, where's the
Wow.
gift?
There you go.
Intuitive.
Yeah, she didn't have to learn.
That's happened lots of times. You give something to someone and they give you a little bit something back. And I accept that. It was. When you're giving and helping someone, and they've got that in them, they'll give you a bit.
Yeah.
I felt so good. I knew what she meant.
Yeah.
She didn't know what she meant, but I had the validation a couple of days later, and it felt so good. But that makes me think, yeah, I know what I'm doing. That's what I need to give to others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is important. I think it's a really important job
Pass it on.
that you do. I really, really do. I think a lot of people lean on psychics and mediums just for either validation, guidance, or just because they're having a hard time and just need.
Laura, when you're sitting over somebody's, or standing over somebody's head, you must be picking up vibes.
Oh God, yeah.
The energy's coming off.
I think it's the same with all hairdressers and barbers. It's a counselling session in the chair.
You need a good old sage stick in your room, let me tell you. I have to be saging it everywhere.
Yeah.
The energies that come and go, 'cause it is.
Yeah.
People's energy.
It really
And
is.
some things do stick to us from people. And I'm not talking about dark things, but their energy you can leave behind on you. I'm sure you cut someone's hair and felt like, I just have nothing left after this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's someone taking our energy. And they do. The nicest people can do it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad person.
Yeah.
That's just what their energy consists of.
Yeah.
I would like to think in my company you wouldn't feel drained.
No, not at all.
But there's a difference,
I
isn't there?
could actually talk to you all night. I'm like, hoping
But
I'm
it's
going
what we
too long,
give,
but
not always realising it. You know.
It's incredible. I think it's amazing what you do. How do you read someone, and where do you read from?
Well, where do I read from? I go to people's houses and do like parties. I mean, there's a certain number, and you go, over so many, that's it.
Because it'll be mentally draining for you.
And so I like that. I like going to people's houses. Both myself and Roxy do parties like hen parties or girly nights and things like that. So, or you can do them online, video calls. I like video calls. They're just as good. You can do them all over the country. I've read for people in Australia, in America, in Dubai. There was an awful lot of women came from. There was one girl I read for, a woman on Aer Lingus. All these women came after that from Dubai, from all sorts, just from one Aer Lingus flight.
Wow.
It was quite amazing how it opened up.
Because I often wondered, because I do see also ads like that on Instagram for, you can have an online reading, and I thought, that can't be real. But it is.
It's tuning in. If you make somebody comfortable, you can read them.
Wow.
And that's not like waffling, it's just making them comfortably quickly.
Yeah.
Because, there can be be the law that says, well, if you're talking too much, then you're getting clues of them, and they're giving you information that you don't want that.
Yeah.
No. It's just relaxing them in your company.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
If like when we do a show, I think the most important thing is just to be ourselves, and we make mistakes, and sometimes I feel like I'm a right prat, but people can laugh at that.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Absolutely.
That is okay.
Yeah.
And to laugh at yourself as
Yeah,
well.
you have to be able to.
But how do I read? Like I said, tuning in to cards. I use tarot cards, I use playing cards, that you play snap with.
Really?
Those are great for questions and answers. You see, I've always used playing cards basically because I think they're great for getting to the detail.
Yeah.
And like I'd lay them out and I'd go, right, what is it that you want to know about? So say somebody said to me, will I stay in this job? So I get them to take out a couple of cards. And when they're asking me, I feel the answer. When I look at the cards, there's dates, there can be timings, there can be information of what's going on in the job and what's to come, and a guideline towards it. Not just, it's not enough to say, you'll move.
Yeah.
That's just, to me, that's boring. Somebody said that to me, well, yeah, I could have told you that myself.
Yeah.
I don't want those to give those people those sort of answers. Because I know I'd be bored. I hate basics.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Writing them down. Sometimes I don't mind if people record them, but I think writing them down is a good thing because you just put them away and look over them. The amount of people have said when I look over it, because I do like details, and I don't even know what details are going to come about, but you forget the details. I've had readings, I forget the details.
Yes, I would be writing them down. It's like you go back to it in 6 months' time and go, oh, that did happen. No way. Give us a few examples of your readings. Have you had any?
I think one today.
Okay.
So the ones that today I was reading for this girl, and she's in Portugal, and this gave me a good validation just to get on with it. So she was booked for 11. She booked for 11 and changed it for about 12:30. And she's in Portugal. I've read for her a few times, and she's doing some sort of like holistic event where I don't know, I don't get involved in all that.
Yeah.
Generally I don't have time.
I don't understand the holistic stuff or
Well, but it's a big area.
Yeah,
isn't
I
it?
say so.
With a lot of different sorts of people.
I still don't know what it is, so it must cover a lot of.
Do you know, it's meant to be a loner.
Yeah.
Honestly it is. So she's doing this event and she went off somewhere. No, I was getting ready to read and it was 11:15, and what I heard was tell her ancestors, which I would never get ancestors, it'd be your relatives and it would be those that you've lost and it'd be along that line.
Yeah.
But I heard the word ancestors. Tell her that we're with her and we're supporting her. And I felt ancestors like that she had never met.
Yeah, that's what I get from
now,
ancestors.
I noticed it was 11:15, so I get on we do our call, and I said, I've got this message. First of all, before we go in the cards, I've just got to tell you that I felt that I'd got your ancestors that you've never met, and I was looking at the clock, it was definitely 11:15, and they're saying that they're supporting you with whatever's going on, whatever you're doing. And she said, she was at some sort of meeting, something she'd started to do for the first time, and it's a bit like meditation, I believe. I didn't understand all of it, but what she had to do in this is meditate, and she connected to her ancestors and she asked them to support, and I can prove this, it's not like, I would get that written down, because that happened, and she said it was 11:15 when she was sat there asking for it.
Wow.
Now I thought, something has happened before, that doesn't happen often. I remember reading for this woman, and I was just reading for her and nothing. She was getting on with me, and I thought, this is not going anywhere. And I happened to know the family, so I found out later that all the stuff from I saw you, but you didn't think I saw you, and you were wearing this, that, and the other, and all this bizarre information was for the girl's mother, who was actually at that time at the grave of her mother, crying and sobbing and talking to her. I'm so lucky I found that out, because I was thinking, what the hell is this?
Wow.
And that there, I promise you, doesn't make me feel great. It makes me feel justified that I'm doing what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
Not, because I feel if you get too full, it can be taken away of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it can. But that just, and I wish I could get that for everyone.
Yeah.
I hope it can't happen.
No.
Perhaps some can, but I can't.
Yeah.
Now there was another, for a reading, there was a girl many years ago, so she came to the house that I used to live in, and I'm sat there reading her cards, and they said, well, this looks like within 12 months, you will be going to Australia, and you will be living in Australia. And there's a baby boy there. I think I said a boy, but was it a girl? And you're going to be very happy and live a life out there. She howled laughing. She's a dry woman, and they can be very hard on you.
Yeah.
I find that anyway. So she says, no, I hope. She says, I have a house and a mortgage and a dog. She says, a job that I love. She says, I don't like travelling. I've only been out for, well, she said, this was Australia. I did see it, and I did see it in 12 months. And she said, I've been to Spain and I didn't like it. And she went outside. Some other girls who were waiting to come in. I wouldn't be banging there. She said, do you know, as they do.
Yeah.
You know, within that 12 months, she comes to me and she's got a ticket for Australia.
Stop.
I swear, I've still got the connection to her.
And you're like, ha, told it.
No. I was probably a bit amazed myself.
Yeah.
And what had happened is her future husband, her fiance, had lost his job and got a job out there. Well, I didn't see that bit.
No
But
way.
I saw the ticket now. Apparently, she had the child opposite sex to what I said. Apparently, I'm really good at messing that one up.
Yeah.
But I saw it.
Wow.
It happened. She didn't spend her life out there, but she went in that time frame to a place she never thought she would.
Yeah.
And that happens in relationships and things that people never think happen.
Yeah.
I did this once for my daughter, and you know, you'd think that I would have learned over the years to just keep your mouth shut. Because they can all do it to different degrees.
Yeah.
You know, you'd think that and I haven't. So I was saying to my daughter when she was pregnant for the very first time, I said, well, I can feel there's a boy in there, and her husband is a fanatical Liverpool supporter, like obsessive. I hate football, but he is an obsessive fanatic.
Could be worse, it could be United.
Would you need to be psychic to know that a Liverpool team, a Liverpool shirt would be bought for that baby? You wouldn't, and of course that's what
No,
they
that's
do, isn't it?
going to happen.
So I said to her, this is not going to happen because this child is going to have no interest in football, never alone Liverpool. So my daughter says, how can you say that? That's an awful thing to say. How do you know that's a boy? And also, you shouldn't say that about a husband because you know how he was. That's a terrible thing to say. And I realised, well, I felt it very strongly.
Yeah.
7 years down the line, he doesn't like football.
No.
He's got 2 left feet. And their story goes from
I wouldn't say that he likes that.
you know. So how does that? I don't know how it works, but it's good crack though, isn't
I
it?
would love to have that. It does seem to be like an intuition as well as.
I think it's easier when it's your own.
Yeah.
Because you can. I feel mothers can tune in to their kids.
Yes.
Like you can also feel if something like to protect that child, not to let that happen. That's psychic. That's that ability that a mother has, you know, of danger or that's safe.
Yeah.
Or I just feel something coming. That's psychic. That's your intuition coming up, and it's bloody strong. How many times do you know you've not seen someone for years? You think about them when they ring.
Yes.
You know, that's a very common thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Or you pass them in the street.
Yeah.
That's so, and there's stories that I've heard from women sitting across from me where they felt someone in their family passing.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, Ireland's a very spiritual country. It's something different here. It's just in the soil. I just love it. And you talk about it more.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel more in the UK, it's like underground a little bit. It's not something we speak about the same. It's a bit more hush. Not all it's younger generation is a bit different.
Yeah.
But here, it's out there. Do you know,
It's incredible, isn't it? It really is.
Definitely.
I think it's amazing. Like, I really do. So you're doing a show. You're putting on a show the 1st of February in Kettle's Hotel. It's just a little bit out past suburbs. I know Kettle's actually. I've been to a couple of weddings out there and it's lovely. It's a really nice spot. But it's yourself and Roxy.
We're doing an event on the 1st of February. That's your mind again. The 1st of February, and we're doing a show for 2 hours. Now, we've done these for years. This is not, by no way means is this the first. So we want to make it different, and how we're making it different is we've got a hypnotherapist coming there to relax the audience and talk about what she does. She's superb. She's helped, Roxy has smoked for years and years, and she's stopped with this woman like that.
Oh, I would love that.
Do you know,
I would love that.
like that.
Wow.
So I saw this woman through a client, and there was a whole chain of events. I read for this lady who was heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken, obviously through a relationship, and she had a lot of things to face the next day. She had an exam, and she was responsible for her daughter, and she was just beside herself. And so I suggested, do you know anyone who does hypnosis? And she said, funny enough, my cousin. I said, well, you get that ASAP to help you tomorrow. So she did. And I saw her about 48 hours later. I was gobsmacked because I saw a different woman.
Yeah.
She was very logical about what she'd gone through and gone on. So I thought, right, well, I'm going to have to go. I am definitely going to have to go through this woman.
Yeah.
And I did. I went for my own journey, and also Roxy went for hers, and she's brilliant. So she's going to come and do a bit of talk about what she does. We're going to read the audience, but what we do is we interact with the audience, because I think it's boring when you just go like, read 5 people, everyone else is sitting there going, I wish it was me, and you're
Yes.
yeah, but not myself. So I get them to read each other. There's a way you're doing it.
Right.
You change over, right? It could be pieces of jewellery, it could be cards. They read each other and we read them. But also at the end of the evening, there'll be a few readings that we can sit at tables and offer a certain amount of people a one-to-one for about an hour or so. So just short readings. So it's different. So you're not just going to see one person, which I think can be boring.
Yeah.
There's 2 of us, so we'll read together and individually, but we'll entertain them with a bit of crap. I like it when there's crying and there's laughter.
Yeah.
And if you can make an audience cry and laugh all together,
Yeah.
that's entertainment for them.
Absolutely.
And that is something a little bit different from the psychic and the medium.
Well, I will be there.
Well,
100% I will be
Sit
there.
in the front.
Yeah. And then I'm so into it. Like, it's just, I had a medium come out to me. I'll say, Jamie passed on the 3rd of April in 2009, and I'd say she came out to me about July.
Okay.
And when she came in, it was like that. There was a few people over, so she was reading for 5, I think. And when she came in, my stepmother at the time, I had a picture of my brother on a chain, right? But my stepmother said to me, Laura, take off that chain, because she might be able to tell by the age that it was a brother. And it was a new chain, so it wasn't old, or she would have been able to guess it was my brother. So I said, oh, you're right. So I took the chain off and I put it on top of my fridge. And she was doing the reading in the kitchen while the other girls were sitting in the sitting room having a few drinks or whatever. And she came in and she says to me, she said, I'm actually trying to parallel park out the back, she says, and there was a blonde young lad sitting in my passenger seat, and she had a big Range Rover. So there was a blonde lad sitting in my passenger seat, and he looked at me and says, what do you think you're trying to park a fucking bus? Now that would be my brother all over, like that was literally his line. He used to say that to me, and I was driving flying cars, I'd feel Cinquecento. So I knew. But again, that could have been, I still was a little bit sceptical. And then she says to me, and there was, when Jamie was in the hospital, he made a picture with my daughter, right? Because they were reared together. I fostered Jamie. Jamie came to live with me when he was 11. I was 19 and I just had Nikita, so they were reared as brother and sister. But I said to her, there was a picture on my fridge, and because we had moved, when Jamie died, I moved out of the house that we were living in, because I just couldn't, I couldn't see, I didn't want to see his friends all the time, because I just couldn't, it was too hard. And with a knee-jerk reaction, I moved within 3 weeks. And I had this picture on my fridge, and it was held on with 4 pieces of blue tack. And it was a clown face that he made with paper mache with Nikita while in his bed in Beaumont, because he'd peg tube, so he'd spent a lot of time in Beaumont. He had cancer. So It was paper mache hair and all the rest of it. But when she was talking, started talking first about my nana, and I said, with that, I heard a noise, and 3 pieces of the blue pack came away. Now that picture had been on that fridge from the day I moved in. 3 pieces came away, and it's small. And I jumped and I says, oh my God, and she says, oh, that's not your nana, that's your brother, by the way, I'll get to him next. Well, I nearly died. So she started talking about Jamie then, and she didn't get the name, but she got the J, and she kind of, I suppose, was able to tell me who he was by the blonde kid in the Jeep. She said that was him. And she says to me, he's laughing here, and he's saying, put back on the jewellery. Have you got jewellery belonging to him? And I said, I have his earring, and I have a bracelet. And I said, but I don't wear them. And she says to me, no, he's laughing. He said, it's something that you literally took off just before I come in, and it's to do with him. And I had to get up, and I got the thing from the top of the fridge, and I said, there it is there. I said, my stepmother told me to take that off in case you could guess. But 100% it was her. And she knew. And I have a feeling that's the girl who she was doing a few out in Kettles. Now, and the only reason I would think that, because you said she would be good, but she would be tired.
Yeah.
And at the time, that was 2009. We're now in 2023, so I'd imagine she'd be tired. So,
definitely. Well, if there's one shot.
But I remember her telling me at the time as well, she said, you know what, my son has this. And her son, I could be wrong, but I think he was about 10. But he was able to tell her that there was a bridge going to collapse, or there was a bridge, he had a dream of a bridge collapsing in Swords somewhere, and 2 days later a footbridge collapsed. And she says to me, he has to have it. I know he has it. But that was my experience with her, and that was actually the last medium that I went to. But she was very, very good. At that time, I think I needed that. I needed to feel like he wasn't just gone, and he wasn't just in his grave. You know, I needed to know that he was with me, and that validated it. And whether she was right or wrong or made it up or what, which I still don't know how she could have, it helped me. You know, people say a lot and they say, oh, I wouldn't believe any of that stuff, you know, but each to their own. And I think when you've lost somebody so close, like to me, Jamie was like my own son, so I needed that. And whether it was right or wrong, it helped me, and it still helps me. And another time I was at home, I'd gotten home, and I tried to be home. Jamie passed at 5 to 7 in the evening, and I tried, and I'm working as a barber, obviously, I would always be in 1 to 6, but I used to try to race home for 5 to 7, to be sitting at the table just to have me minute with Jamie. And you know, I used to really beat myself up if I got there at like 7:50 or like 6:56 or 6:57. I'd feel like I'm after failing him, you know. It was nearly an obsession of mine. So when that girl came out then and kind of told me all of that, I was like, I don't need to do that, I can let all that go, because I know he's still with me. And he still presents himself to this day.
You know that you'll see him again one day.
Oh, I know I will.
Because we all meet up again.
Yeah.
And he'll be meeting up with people that he never knew and didn't see.
Yeah.
And I do believe that we come round again as well. Because there's wonderful stories. You can go on YouTube. There's a very famous story between England and Ireland. I think it's Howth, of a woman it was a woman in Howth, it's on YouTube, who died. And I think it's the Skerries or Howth area, I'm not right, around there. And I think her children were put into some sort of care or an orphanage. But a woman in England who had never been over here believed she was the mother of these children. And they were actually put together. And the things that this woman in England said to these children, well, they were adults and older, around 50, 60. They said that there was no way in a million years this woman from England could have known. It wasn't possible because it was intimate, personal stuff. But she drew a picture of an area that she'd never been to with a map that wasn't available on Google Maps. It was before the internet. And it's actually, the whole story is on YouTube. It can be found. It's still there now. And when you look at that, you think, of course there's something else. There's more to this.
There has to be.
We have a hard time being here. I think they have it easier. It's hard for us. You know, they say we pick this, like, oh really? Do we pick this? No. We're
born into this. But I would like to, I would love to be right in thinking that when I pass, that I can still be floating around kids' houses and seeing that they're okay, and you know, I think it's very important to have something like that. I really do.
I think you may think different when you get older, but it's to have the least regrets.
Yes.
Really, that's where I'm going. Don't know what day it's coming. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that a sat nav also might go, we're getting nearer to it.
Yeah.
It certainly feels like when you get older, life speeds up.
Yeah.
But it's to have the least regrets possible and to sit with yourself and know you've done your job with your children.
Mm-hmm.
Know that, you know, you've done your best.
Yeah.
So they're now going on with their families.
Yeah.
And doing their thing. Because you get to a point in life where you're not as important.
Yes.
Their children are important than what they're doing.
Yeah.
And their partner's family and all those
Exactly.
other bits, you know, it's all different and you
Yeah.
sit with yourself.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
And I have grandchildren, like, so I would like to know that, you know, even this podcast, say for example, and my Instagram page, the one thing that comes out of it is at the start when I started doing that, I was thinking to myself, am I making a fool of myself? Are people kind of laughing and judging me? And which they were, a lot of them, and especially people I knew, people that I'd be kind of close to, you know, that I'd been grown up with or whatever. And there was a lot of who does she think she is type of thing, but it's brought me to this. It's brought me to this podcast, which I absolutely love. But the number one thing that keeps me going and keeps my page going and the podcast going is my grandchildren will always know who I was, how I was, how I spoke. Like I remember I'm fortunate enough to remember my granny and granddad, but I didn't know much about their lives or, you know, their personalities. I knew them as an authority figure, and I would only see what they allowed me to see. Where I know that in 40 years' time, when I'm long gone, my grandchildren will be saying, look kids, that's your nana, and here, look at this, and you can watch that, and they'll always know who I am. So even if nothing else came out of any of what I'm doing,
that's the most important thing.
It's really important to me, yeah.
Do you know what I can see with you is you talk from your heart, so you work from your heart.
Yeah.
And that's the right place to come from.
Yeah.
And you're very lucky that you have got, it shouldn't be lucky, it would be nice if we all had it, but you have got support of your husband.
Oh God.
In what you do. That means that you can climb mountains.
Yeah. I am so lucky.
That's what most women are asking.
Yeah. A lot of people don't get what we have, and that's sad. And it took me years to find it. Although we knew each other since we were kids, but Chris is literally my best friend in the whole world, and he understands me more than I understand me sometimes.
It just takes one person that we love.
Yeah.
The closer, and if it is our partner, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
Exactly.
It actually really doesn't.
Yeah.
And I think we assume too much what others think.
Yeah.
But as you do get older, I find
it
just doesn't matter.
That goes. Yeah.
It really does. It's what you know.
And you only become truly happy when you stop wondering what other people think of you. And I'd say the same goes in kind of what you're doing as well.
Would you believe that this sort of, and it is work, people can't say it's not work because it is. You know, if you're doing it on a continuous level, then it's work. People think that, John, there isn't a track here. You know, when you think something and it just goes on.
Yeah.
Then you shouldn't be, you know, it's not work. How can you say, of course it's work, because you have to put yourself in that position.
Yeah.
You have to look after yourself so that you can help others. And I'd say the same, you do have to, you're here, you're like a counsellor in some way. So am I. You know, it's all about people and their needs.
I'm quite nosy by nature, and I think that comes from Barbara, but I also love meeting different people. Like I love people.
You're a natural talker.
Yeah, I really am. Yeah, you couldn't shut me up. Like even in school, I think Junior influenced me. First teacher, I believe his name was Mr. Watson. He was brilliant, but I used to hide under the table sometimes, and if I wasn't hiding under the table, I wouldn't stop talking. So I was the chatterbox, and he didn't even call me by my name. It was chatterbox. That was it. But that stuck. When did you realise that you wanted to do this to help people? Like, how long have you been?
I wouldn't say that I realised I wanted to help people. I think how can I say it started right? I grew up with my grandparents. My mother got pregnant, didn't realise that she was pregnant, so it was too late to have a determination. So she put me into foster care, and my grandmother found out about me. My mother didn't say anything. She found out about me accidentally and took me on. And that didn't go down very well. I mean, it's a whole drama.
Yeah.
And then I've had a life growing up with my grandparents. My gran only died a few years ago. She was 98.
Oh wow.
She was a brilliant woman, but my grandfather was a sexual abuser. So that's where trauma came in from a very young age. We've all got a story.
Yeah.
Everybody's got something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that opened me up to suffering, to feeling it, and then as I got older, sensing it on others. You know, we haven't got the time for it, but there's a lot of stories where I could feel other people's pain, and younger children who had been abused, and someone was close to me, my friend, and it was her daughter who was being abused, and I could feel it through her because of her. It wasn't psychic, it was how she was behaving. I could feel some of the things her mum was saying, and her whole story turned out, and that was happening to her. If it hadn't happened to me, there was a few stories like that. I don't know whether I would have picked that up.
Yeah.
I left school at 15, so I'm dyslexic. Did I know I was dyslexic at school? No, when I was at school, you were just thick. You were quite in the lower class and you're thick.
Yeah.
You know, so I've still got friends, when we're together, we're all in the same, what we call thick class. But as we've got older, we found out our children are dyslexic. My son, my youngest, is 99 point whatever, dyslexic.
Yeah.
You know, and that has nothing to do with your intelligence.
Yeah.
But if it's not catered for, you know, you don't fit into the system. So I left at 15, and I was only just 15. But I got into art college a few years later because I did artwork, and I sold it. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I didn't get past the first year, unfortunately, because I found the theory very hard. I could paint, I could draw, but I loved photography.
Yeah.
So I actually got into photography college in Birmingham. I must have been about 1920, something like that, 2021. I got in there, and I was so pleased with myself, and I was going to head towards journalism.
Yeah.
I saw myself, I love photography, I still do, but I got up the duff. So I got a childminder sorted, I got it all sorted out for the second year, and when she came I couldn't hand her over, and you know, that was it, that went down the swamp. So I'd always picked up things, so I just read for a couple of people, and it was just for fun really. I mean, like I'd had an experience once when I was about 17, 18, did a Ouija board. They're so bad, they're just like downright evil, because they open up portholes. And that experience with a few of us and what came out of it told me, whoa, stay away from that side. Because there is a negative. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah,
There's yin and yang.
Although I believe in what you're doing, I also believe in that, and that
There's bad
something I would
spirits.
stay the hell away
And they
from.
can stick to
Look
you.
here, there's bad people.
So why would
So
there be
there's
bad
gonna be
spirits?
bad
Of
spirits,
course
you
there
know
are.
what I mean?
And they will wind you up.
Yeah, like
Definitely.
Hannibal Lecter wouldn't have died and became a patron saint, do you know what I mean? And I believe, like you say, where the carrier, the soul lives on. So, and
There's good, there's bad.
Exactly.
There's yin, there's yang.
Yeah. I know I'm supposed to be asking you questions about other things, but I have to go back to the abuse.
Right.
Because I was sexually abused by my mother when I was 11, and I think that kind of maybe helped me to have a little bit of empathy for other people. Do you think that would have helped you?
100%. And you know, when you say that, because you just said, my mother abused me.
Yeah.
And as soon as when you say sexual abuse as a woman, and generally as a man,
It's usually a man that does it, so it was.
my family too, there was a woman.
Really?
Yeah, a woman you wouldn't expect to do it
Yes.
within the family.
Yeah.
And I think, that either closes down, I feel we have choices. When you're sexually abused, if you know, whether it's once, you know, I've read for people that have been sexually abused by priests as well. It's really across the board, isn't it? So I think it opens you up that you either close down, perhaps even sexually, or to people, to relationships, or you can open up where you just want too much out of life and you're running from it. And I think there's a middle ground as well, but basically I think you choose to be a victim or a survivor.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if you do choose. Perhaps life makes you choose.
Yeah.
You know, is it our choice? They say we choose. I think we do on a soul level, but I'm not sure on a human level.
Yeah.
Because we're not always aware. So I would say what happened to you made you sensitive, open to other
Exactly.
people's suffering.
And you're so right in what you're saying, because I think from the age of 11 until I had my daughter, I was a victim. And now, I mean, like, it didn't carry on until I was 19, but I would have been like, I can't tell anybody, because number one, who's going to believe it? Number two, it's embarrassing that I was a woman. Number three, I chose and asked to sleep in her room that night because she had a TV, so it's my own fault. And number four, like, I was just like, who was going to believe this? Who would? And how do you say it?
Yeah.
But from the day I had my daughter, I was no longer a victim. I was on a mission, and I was a survivor. There was no way anybody was going to ever do that to my daughter.
Yeah.
I got Jamie. I was in full protective mode from the minute that happened. As a child, straight away I decided that 2 year, because Jamie was 2 at the time, and I remember going into him, and he was asleep in my room, and I picked up his little head, and I had his little head in my 2 hands, and I said to him, I promise I will never let you anything like that ever happen to you. And he was asleep, of course, he was 2 years old, and I never did. Well, it turns out after Jamie died, I did find out that she did do it to him also, but he never told me, and he did, because he didn't want me to know. He knew that it would kill me, like, and obviously I'd gotten him at 11, so I'm just glad that I did get him, and no more could happen to him. So, I mean, that's something for me. It's a small comfort for me. It was terrible to hear after he died that it had happened, but he did tell somebody else, and he did just couldn't hand out the heart to tell me.
You know, there's got to come some, I don't want to use the word good, but let's say positive. There's got to come some positiveness out of the crap that we've had to deal with at the hands of others that should have been looking after us. Yeah. You know, and I remember an incident where I was talking to a policewoman in England. I was involved in, well, it was a child that was being abused, and the police had to get involved. And she said to me, well, what we find is when somebody's sexually abused, they go on to abuse. Hold on a minute.
No, I have heard that as well, and that disgusts me. That disgusts me.
That I would say, that's going to come up again in life, and you say, well, that's ignorant thinking. That's just pure ignorance.
Yeah, I did it because it happened to me. That's, no.
All it is just saying no.
Yeah.
We put a stop to it.
Yeah.
Don't have to make the drama of it, because it's suffering.
Yeah.
But no, it stops with us. It stopped with you, and it stopped with me. Because it happened. I don't like the word but. Because it happened, it can often make us more aware of others. Yeah. Or we go into our shell. Exactly. I do think that people that have been sexually abused do find it difficult in relationships, men or women. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. It's not even about
every
trust.
Aspect of your life.
Yeah,
every
I think
aspect.
it is.
And you can have good days, and you can have bad days, or you can have, like, I often have, like, I could be great for months, but something will click, and to the point that I could wake up in the morning and I know I have to go to work, and I know I have to get the kids ready to school and all the rest of it, and I sometimes just aren't physically or mentally capable, and I'll say to Chris, like, I just can't, I don't know what's wrong with me today. And like up to only 3 weeks ago, I said that happened, and I woke up and I just couldn't face the day, and it came out of nowhere. And I said to him, I just can't, I don't know what's wrong with me. It's anxiety or depression, I don't know what it is, I can't explain it. There's nothing actually wrong, but I just can't. And he said to me, Laura, I have to go to work. He said, but the shop has to be open. He said, look, what to do is take your time, go into work at about 12, and I'll be there by 2 o'clock to let you go. And he did. He's a plasterer, and he went off to his own job. I took my time, I went into work at 12. I was here for 2 hours, and fair play, he was up here by 2 o'clock in his plastering clothes, you know, to let me go. And then rang my daughter and said, listen, your mum's on the way home, just make sure she gets into bed. By 2:30 I was in my bed, and I stayed in my bed until the next morning, just because I just couldn't, I didn't know how to explain how I was feeling. I couldn't even explain to Chris how I was feeling. And I don't think it was anything to do with my mother. I think just sometimes I get overwhelmed with emotion about everything, about all of it.
Do you know what, Laura? Perhaps you need to talk to Melanie when you see her, because hypnosis talks to the subconscious.
Yeah.
And it does help let go of things.
Yeah.
It helps you subtly, without realising,
Yeah.
move forward.
Yeah.
And leave things in the past.
Yeah.
It's a great thing for the mind, which is where we're blocked. Because it can be any instant that just triggers something.
Yeah.
And then we're fucked for the day.
And nothing has happened. You know?
Have you ever heard of Old Spice aftershave? It's disgusting, it's now.
I actually love Old Spice.
Well, see, that Old Spice, and see the brush, do you remember?
Yes,
the brush?
yes.
There's a trigger.
Okay.
The massive like.
Yeah.
Because that smell.
Yeah.
And the brush, because I remember my grandfather doing that.
Yeah.
And the smell. Well, the self-control, all the hypnosis in the world.
Yeah.
You know, but I can laugh because I can see that.
Yeah.
Not like it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, we can't
It's
suffer
amazing.
because of others.
Yeah.
You know, we can't. We have to go forward
Yeah.
for the sake of our families, and
Exactly.
our children.
Exactly.
And you're doing it.
And I never want my kids to see me like that. That's why, like that day when I went home and he rang Nikita and said, your mum's on the way home, just make sure she gets back into bed. Because I have 2 small boys and I don't want them asking me. They don't need to know that backstory until they're older. And of course they're going to watch this and they'll know. But I don't want to put that on my kids. And I don't want to, like I say, I spent all my teenage years as a victim, and I absolutely refuse to be a victim now in my adult years. As soon as Nikita was born, I had a purpose, and I was like, no more, I'm not a victim anymore, I'm a mammy now, and it's up to me to protect her and Jamie, which I found really would help.
Hormones, delivering those children change everything.
Doesn't it? It really does.
Nothing like it.
Really does.
It puts the priority of others before our own suffering.
Yeah.
I think that's why things change, because it's not that we love ourselves. I bet you, like me, somebody says, you know, the key to life is loving yourself. I'm away with that one.
I genuinely believe you don't get to love to yourself until you're about 40, and that's because you don't actually give a rat's ass what anybody thinks of you anymore.
Who do you love more? The people you're caring for, your children.
Yeah.
You know, and that takes the priority off your own pain and suffering.
Exactly.
It does.
Yeah.
And then the mind deals with that, and as time passes, it can be easier. The people that get stuck, of course they get stuck, and those are the ones that are in front of us.
Yeah.
You know, I think life is bloody amazing, and when
you
get these little miracles and surprises, you know, they can help us through this time. But we do have to pass it on to others.
Yeah.
It's not for us to keep. No, it's not. It's if you get something, you've got to pass it on and help someone else. That's a duty.
Exactly, and that's why I love the podcast, because I find that I'm a lot better equipped most days. I'm a lot better equipped to deal with life and everything else, and I think if you can help anybody in any way, you so should. But it also kind of reminds me that I am me, and although I have a past and a history and a lot of it I don't like, I've also got bigging myself up a little bit. I have got a talent of talking to people, and you know, and it's one thing that I'm proud of. Obviously I'm proud of my kids, and I'm proud of my business, and I'm absolutely idolising my husband and all the rest of it. But this is something that I learned to do on my own. This is my self-care. To other people it would be like a job. This is how I keep a bit of Laura. You know,
and that's important.
Because you can be a mammy and you can be a wife, but you also need to remember to be yourself
and not lose yourself.
Exactly.
In the life and the home and the work and everything else.
Absolutely. Therapy. Have you ever had to give really bad news to anyone? Or would you?
Right, so that's 2 questions. Have I? Not that I can remember. Well, I guess I have. I was asked and pinpointed, but generally speaking, I don't see it. I think I decided many years ago I want to be an optimistic psychic, fortune teller, whatever people want to call me. I want to look for the positive. I want to be known for seeing the wood for the trees, for seeing the way through, for giving messages that help you get on and support. I don't want to sit with the doom and gloom and don't do that because that can happen.
Yes.
You know, at the end of the day, I'd say those are your choices, whether you see them or not. But that doesn't mean that you can always give positive news for the sake of it. That's as bad as giving bad news.
Isn't it?
Oh, people are not stupid. They know if you're just giving bull.
Exactly.
You know, the thing is, you have to look at the paths the way few things. And I guess they do say getting older, you know, you get more knowledge, and that's a good thing. There's some good things with getting older.
Yeah.
There's experience at the end of the day.
As long as the Botox, we don't mind getting older. I'll take the knowledge of all the wrinkles.
Cream Botox. But would I deliver it? If I would give a warning, for instance, I'm just thinking here, right, where was the warning? The last warning I gave was to Roxy, who's doing a show with me. I hope she doesn't mind me saying this. Roxy's Polish, she's 40. She's really good, and she's got a hell of a lifelong for 40. Like, that's one old soul that she is. You know, she's 40, ancient she is in her soul, not in her face.
Yeah.
So Roxy is a bit of an impatient driver. Like, you know, she's got a young child. She's running around. She's got a very demanding job. She's very busy. So she's always rushing in a very nice car, right? That she deserves.
Yeah.
She's hardworking. So when I looked at her old car, anyone said she's got lots of bumps and bangs on it, you know. And I do know people have sat in the car because she drives too fast. We all know she drives too fast.
Yeah.
So I was sat. I'd been with her, and I was sat having a sandwich in another part of the town, and I was thinking, I'm going to have to have a word with her about this because I feel there's an accident coming in this car, this nice new car she's got. I don't feel good about this, and I've told her about this. I'm going to have to really have a talk with her about her speeding. She drives right past me. I'm thinking it, and she drives right past. If that wasn't a sign, because there's no way she would be there.
Literally at that minute.
At that minute, I'm thinking she drives past.
Oh.
So I did get her, and I did tell her.
Yeah.
And hopefully it does something.
Yeah.
Because I think you do get little validations. And
yeah, and I think if something like that pops into your head, you need to say it.
Absolutely.
Like that girl that reckons she sensed there was something wrong with baby 8. Yeah. She should have said it, or else she never should have mentioned it again. You know, either or.
Absolutely.
So Roxy and Ellie, then this is going to be brilliant, and so it's the 4th of February.
I think that's a Thursday, isn't it? We're looking at, I think it's 7:30 till 9:30. It'll be a little bit of a break. Yeah.
I'm going to write this down because I will put it with this will be uploaded this evening to YouTube on Spotify. Okay. So I'll put it in. So is it 7:30?
7:30 to 9:30. It's 20 on the door.
Brilliant.
So that's 2 hours, probably go a bit over, and there's going to be private readings available, short amount of private readings available one-to-one. There'll be like something like 15-20 minutes. That'll be an extra, something like 10 if you want, €10.
Yeah.
€15 for 10 minutes.
That's very reasonable. That's really good.
Yeah. So when they're fully booked, if they get fully booked, that's it. We might do 5 or 8 each, something like that. But I think that whole thing makes for something different. Yes. You know, we'll definitely have to have the energy. A bit of Red Bull goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't just do it on pure energy.
I'll bring the coffees. Well, that's brilliant. One more question I wanted to ask you. Do you ever get really overwhelmed? You know, if you've done a couple of readings in a day, would it be like, oh, I need to go to bed now, I can't?
No, I wouldn't get overwhelmed. I get tired. You know, I know now how many not to read for. I know there's a limit and that's it.
Yeah.
So I monitor myself. And also, the truth of it is, I don't read like I used to read years ago. I mean, I used to be really, really busy years ago before the internet. you know, and there's just dial-up coming.
Yeah.
Nobody accessed me over the internet.
No.
You'd be, all of us that were reading like were months ahead. Now
Yeah.
the world and his wife click a button.
Yeah.
It's like anything, isn't it? You can swipe left or right and you've got a date up the road.
Yeah.
Speed dialer and you've got a...
Yeah, please don't tell me you're on Tinder.
I am not.
Do you know what? You should be, because
Not in a million.
if you were, you'd at least be able to tell whether you were being catfished or not.
I do love
Wouldn't
that
you?
sort of thing. Do you know what I have done? I've put a few people together through, you know, when I've read for a man and another woman, I have fixed.
Oh
I
yeah.
have.
Silly.
I have fixed up an ex-priest as well.
Did you?
I did. I could write a story.
Oh my God.
Oh God, that didn't go down too well.
Oh my God. Do you know what, actually? I'll give you a laugh. My granny, right? So my granny would be in her 90s now, but she is originally from Newcastle.
Yeah.
And her auntie or her sister, I'm pretty sure who was her auntie, it was her mother's sister, was a nun over in England, right? And she actually ran away with a priest. And the two, he left the priesthood and she left the nuns, and the two of them married. Now that would have been like in the 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And lived happily ever after, as far as I'm aware.
I know of a nun. I've heard she's a very good reader. She
Really?
doesn't like read like I'm doing. She just can read cards.
Wow.
And she's a nun.
Wow.
You know, there's an ability. It's
That
beautiful,
is,
isn't it?
yeah, it is an ability, and it's good to see as well that, like, a nun, somebody so religious would be open to this as well.
I've also heard tarot cards called the Devil's Picture Book. So,
Oh really?
like, there's a left, there's a right.
Yeah. Everybody's not going to like everything we do, and
Not
we
at
can't,
all.
you can't expect them
Can
to.
we live with ourselves? That's what matters.
Absolutely.
Can we live with ourselves?
Absolutely.
I can. You
Yeah,
can.
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all that
100%.
matters. I've got a boy
Yeah.
with me.
My husband, I don't know how to live, he lives with me. But he's,
And he loves you.
he's canonised a saint at some stage, I'm pretty sure of it. Ellie, I will be definitely at the show with yourself and
Look
Roxy.
forward to
And
seeing you.
thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It's
Really
been
appreciate it.
really amazing. You're everything that I thought you would be. So I'm delighted. I'm so happy that you came in. And
Thanks for listening.
thank you so much.
You're so warm.